before we get to before we get to the interview, let me just show you the evidence here. Let me show you what I'm talking about when we're talking about Katie potato porters. Okay, here we go. Let's jump to the. Okay, so uh, documents showed that Katie Porter scalded her ex-husband's scalp with potatoes. That's right. Now it's not a laughing matter, but it's just so preposterous that somebody can have this history. Like the history I'm going to show you, it's going to blow your mind. But this is important to build this background. So the former husband of Katie Porter said in court documents that she frequently abused him verbally and threw toys, books, and other objects at him during their marriage. Okay, now I am going to just lay down the background so you can have this in your mind when we watch how she acted today in a normal situation that doesn't require bullying or aggression. Keep that in mind. She's being asked normal questions by a somewhat challenging interviewer. She's being challenged, but it's normal. And she didn't need to do what she does. We'll watch it, but just keep it in mind. Even okay, during their marriage, even pouring scalding hot mashed potatoes. Let me get rid of this banner. Mashed potatoes on his head during a fight. Okay, so Matthew Hoffman, who happened to be married to her, so he filed for divorce in 2013. That was a long time ago. I'm going to be fair. That was a world away. He said, but there was so he had a restraining order requested against her the same year. He said that she was routinely called a fucking idiot and fucking incompetent by his rage-prone spouse. Okay, who also shattered a glass coffee pot, bam, on their kitchen counter in 2012 when she felt the house wasn't clean enough. Get cleaning, baby. Bam. Okay, right. She would not let me have a cell phone because she said, this is not funny. It's not funny, but it's wild. She said, you're too fucking dumb to operate it. Okay, this is what he said. Now, Porter's 49. She's also been accused of ridiculing former members of her staff, talking shit about them. Okay, so there's accusations she bullies her staff. They're accusations. When she gets angry, he says, she will claw and scratch your arms and then say to me, look what you made me do. Now, that sounds very sinister. Sounds very sinister, but this is what he's saying. Hey, he was married to her, all right? And she wants us to marry her as governor. It's a conversation. You might be asking, is this relevant? Or you might be mocking me saying, Jason, you're making a thing of nothing. That was a long time ago. Okay, well, look, I think if she had changed her behavior, that's one thing. But she's been doing this kind of aggro, vicious stuff, bullying stuff, intimidation stuff for years. He says she claws my arms. Daily Mail reported on this. The records obtained first. So apparently these records were somehow kept hidden. So they just came to light. She regularly says that I am a bad parent in front of the kids. Recently, the children began spitting at me and throwing their food. Wow, that's terrible. Bad daddy. That's bad stuff. Okay, there is a very unflattering picture of her. Not the best picture, but hey, it is what it is. Okay, so there's your Democrat candidate for governor, everybody. How you feeling? Okay, so Hoffman goes on to say, Porter took issue with how Hoffman was making the I'm sorry. It's not funny. I know, it's not funny. I know, because deep down, this is domestic violence. It's not funny. It's not funny, but it's just the visual is just making me think Sopranos or something, right? Like they're at the dinner, everything's cool, and then somebody flips out and pours hot potatoes or hot spaghetti or pasta on someone. I'm not saying that ever happened in The Sopranos. Makes me feel it. There was a really crazy, interesting thing that happened at dinner. Usually bad things happen at dinner in Sopranos. Okay. So she says, oh man, I'm trying to keep the way this is written. So allegedly, he was making the mashed potatoes for dinner. It's like making mashed. She walks in, she's like, can't you read the fucking instructions? So she goes right to 0 to 100. Then her ex-husband said, Porter raised a ceramic bowl of steaming hot potatoes and dumped it on my head, burning my scalp. Now, I don't know if there's a medical record, but this is alleged, but it sounds on brand, honestly. In response to the allegations, Porter at the time was a professor of bankruptcy law. And then she claimed in her own request for a restraining order that he ordered her out of the house, called her a dumb B word, and a despicable person and effing evil. Okay. Before adding that she should rot in hell. These okay, clearly they weren't a good match, so the divorce was probably really good for everybody. But yeah, so it just seems a little on brand. I gotta say because she's just a douchebag. She really is. Now, according to Porter, Huffman then raged at the couple's son, telling the child, "Okay, I'm not going to get into the kid stuff. That's not important to me. In fact, that makes me sad. So when kids are involved, that's not. I'd rather not get into that. But you guys can read it." So she was on the Late Show with Colbert. When was this? This was April. So in April last year, she did a Late Show hit and somehow was selling a book. Who would buy that book? I don't know. But Colbert he brings on all, and clearly they're trying to prep her for governor. He brings on all the heavy hitters. So she's, one of them. So in her first campaign for Congress, the writers note that she called herself a victim of domestic violence, and her biography says she was a single mom of 3 kids. Okay. I don't have a shady background, she told the HuffPost in 1218. I'm the most boring person in America, of course, obviously a lie, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And then in December, a Navy veteran who worked for her accused her of dismissing a sexual harassment allegation made by another staffer and also cracking off colored jokes about race. Okay. So it's interesting. If this was a Republican, the two things here, this right here, that would be the headline. That would be the headline. Instead, there's but this is an interesting headline. Clearly, the scalding potatoes. So if that's not good enough for you, let's go to Politico. Here's another one really quick. I think it's important to see. So she alleges. So this one is this one was last year, a year ago, almost. Wow, almost a year ago. Okay. Uh, yeah, almost exactly a year ago. She alleges persistent abuse and gets restraining order against ex-boyfriend. Now, this is another man in her life, an ex-boyfriend, and another restraining order. Okay. So most people don't have this many restraining orders in their life, but we're looking at somebody in Congress who now has 2, 3 battles, counting her ex-husband and now this guy. Julian Will's alleged threats to leak false information to the press poses a serious risk to my career and personal reputation. So Politico's protecting her. They're putting her words out there as though they're true, saying that he's a crazy. He's nuts. They're discrediting him. Maybe he is. But then if he is that crazy, then you have to look at her judgment. She gets involved with people that when it goes bad, it goes really bad and it becomes very toxic. And the question to you should be, if you elect someone like this for governor, what if their other relationship falls apart and it's very toxic and then it becomes a distraction to the people of California? In my opinion, look, we all have things. We're all human. I've had relationship drama. We all do. You probably have it. If you haven't, you're lucky. So I'm not going to blame her for being human. But if you have that much drama and baggage, you're not going to be able to focus on the voters. You're not going to be able to get the job done. And as you know, California is a 24/7 job. It's a tough job. Now, maybe if you get somebody like this who's used to destroyed relationships, she's got the backbone. I don't know. She's strong enough to handle it. I don't know. I mean, I think she's a strong woman. I'll give her that. But anyway, it's a question. If you have somebody to vote for without drama, that has a stable personal life, and then you got somebody who has a record of instability in her personal life, it's a conversation. And it's not about gender. It's not about anything about that. It's about history. You have to look at the history of a candidate. So Porter says Willis said the filing he filed against her was an effort to preempt his own claims against her. So here we go. Katie Porter obtained a temporary restraining order against an ex-boyfriend, telling the court his persistent abuse and harassment, including sending her and her family and staff more than 1,000 text messages. That is crazy. And emails over 3 months caused significant fear to her personal safety. So now she's saying she's the one who needs protection. In the petition for a domestic violence restraining order that was filed last year, she alleged Julian Willis. Now this is a okay, several years. This guy was with her for a while. He sent a litany of abusive messages to the extent of causing personal or significant harm to a public image. Interesting. She has a public image that doesn't already have significant harm. I'm confused here. I don't know what else you could say about her in the papers or publicly that would shock me. But if I guess if you're inclined to not vote for her, if there's more that comes out, I don't know. That surprises me. So on Tuesday, the judge approved the order, blah, blah, blah. That was last year to protect her family. Politico looked at the documents, no contact order. The judge denied her request for restraining orders for adults that she doesn't live with, including her mother. Okay, so she was trying to get a restraining order for her mom. And then there's some other stuff concerning. He said he was going to call CPS on her to remove her children from her custody. What aren't they, like teenagers or something? Trying to extort her for thousands of dollars, defamatory. Oh, saying that she has herpes. But hey, we're in the clear because she sent the test results to the court to prove she's cool, no herpes. Oh man, come on, man. This is like reality. She's a walking reality show, man. Look, I don't know. I just the herpes thing that catches you by surprise. Look, I'm glad she submitted records that show she's in the clear, so we know she doesn't have herpes. Oh man, not that it's funny, but it's just crazy. In her declaration, she said Willis is got substance abuse problems, and he's crazy. Of course, mental health issues, and he's been psychiatrically hospitalized. Okay, so lot of drama. Sorry, that was my water bottle. A lot of drama. Willis. Then she goes on to ruin his reputation in this article, saying everything about him: sober living, Narcotics Anonymous. So Narcotics Anonymous. So we're talking hard drugs here. Okay. So her live-in person is a hard drug user. Okay. No judgment, just the facts. She personally witnessed him. Oh, here we go. She personally witnessed him continuing to use drugs. Okay, so she was in the presence of him using hard drugs. Is there anything else I need to say about how crazy and chaotic this person's life has been? This was in 23. Keep this in mind. We're not talking 2012 anymore. So she says, okay, now here we go. Now I was assuming hard. Oh, here we go. Here it is. She says he misused painkillers, snorting Ritalin. Okay. Now that's some crazy shit. Snorting Ritalin, abusing cannabis. Okay. And nicotine patches, she wrote. He has also previously disclosed to me his use of cocaine and whippets. Okay. I guess those are like the poppers. Not that I know anything about that. So she's lying. She was there. She maybe used it with him. Look, I'm just speculating, but look, when you're around drug users on a regular basis, it's just inconsistent to say that everyone's not partying. So there's that. So Willis did get a chance to talk to Politico after this entire article destroys his reputation. He finally gets a chance to say his piece. He says, Porter sought the restraining order to preempt him from suing her and seeking protection for himself, okay, and to prevent him from going to the media. And then there's more and more drama, blah, blah, blah. Okay, obviously we can go. One last thing here. He provided copies of communication with California Irvine Police Department, claiming she was aggressive and violent towards him and the children in mid-August. He asked police to supervise his move out. Okay, that's dramatic. Porter, through a spokesperson, of course, who is that, right? Said she was out of state on the day he moved out and got no indication the police had been present. Politico has independently requested copies of the reports, and I'm sure that those reports will never see the light of day. And he says She's a monster. She's a monster. Okay. So she is okay. So now, so Katie, okay, so there you go. I think that's good enough. And that's let's go to now you get the picture. Okay.